Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm back in the car. I am at a tournament today outside the ice hall, so it's actually a little hard for me. I was reflecting as I was walking back to my car during a break that it's really hard for me to be around people for a long period of time. And I love the whole performing thing, and I love talking with people, but it gets me really tired. So I think that's a characteristic of an introvert. And now I have a few minutes to kind of be in my own space and to make this video, which is totally recharging my batteries already. And today's topic is my musical influences. I've always loved music from a young age, and I've always sang along to the songs, and there's videos of me when I was really little just singing, I'm never gonna dance again, guilty feet have got no rhythm. Anyway, Careless Whisper was one of my big favorites, being a little girl in the 80s. But at home we listened to a lot of 60s music, 60s and 70s, but I mostly liked the 60s, kind of the girl groups, and then the boy bands. So whether it's the Ronettes or oh gosh, it's all those, the girl groups that, especially the Ronettes, but all those girl groups that were really popular, and kind of that sound and the echoing behind, like the lead singer would sing and then the background girls would kind of repeat the stuff. I think that's a really cool thing that's sunk into my music. Even though I'm not a group, I sing different parts of the song myself, which is really fun. And then so the boy bands, for me, I really like kind of the old harmonies that the boy bands used to sing. And even now, some usually have one lead singer and maybe one background singer in a band. But even in the rock bands, just to add some of the harmonies in. But like when I listen to the Beach Boys and when I listen to the Beatles, like they're really just hit me here. And harmonies are something that have really flowed into my music. And again, I'm only one person, so I end up singing or recording one part of it, and then writing the melody or the harmony of the second person, and then I sing that too. So my biggest influence, though, has been the Beatles, and not a girl group, but also fall into that 60s music and also fall into the boy band with the harmonies. I was reflecting on why I like them so much, and I think they're a big influence for a lot of people. What I think is so cool is their evolution. They continue to try different things, and the more I got into the Beatles and I started really listening to, yes, their harmonies between Paul and John mostly, and then I really started to pick up on George Harrison's contributions as well. Like those are really, really cool. But the fact that they tried so many different things and so many of their songs sound really different, I felt like that gave me permission to experiment. Like taking a polka beat. One of my children's songs is Act Like an Animal, and it goes like you know, and it works, and then getting into a rock beat, right, and you get heavier, and I love the fact that I don't feel like I'm in a box and I don't have to have a certain sound. Though when I try to characterize my sound, when people ask, I do feel like I have a lot of that singer-songwriter kind of folk and storytelling vibe. But I'm also really influenced by pop music, because I think it's the pop and that upbeat and like the dance, that type of vibe, that more than the storyteller, it gets us in a good mood. And oh, I'm shaking the whole car. It gets us in a good mood, and it gets us up, and it gets us dancing, or me at least, or some people. And that's where I feel like, okay, this is the type of music I want, that I'm like bopping around and dancing and feeling good. And that I mostly find in the pop beat. Rock is good too, but I don't feel it's like as bubbly. It's a little bit more like determination, which is good too for certain songs. Like, I'm going to be able to do this. But like if I listened to MC Hammer for a long time in the 90s. I was a big fan and knew all the raps and everything. But one of the songs that I play very often is Gaining Momentum. and it's like gaining, 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 gaining. I put that more in the pop. Maybe it's pop R&B, but I feel like that category of music is where most of my music falls, unless it's very like emotional or like a storytelling thing. Then it's more of that singer-songwriter. I really studied, just because I'm a nerdy music, lyric, production enthusiast, I really studied what my favorite bands do over and over. What are the things I love about them? And I really love kind of dissecting what they do with the melodies and the harmonies and who comes in at one point, what parts of the lyrics are repeated, you know, how the song structure is put together. As I was saying, I don't necessarily follow the same pattern all the time. I think it's fun to, like the Beatles, they did song and chorus and the verse and chorus and verse and chorus, and maybe there was like a little bridge part, but it really didn't follow what the accepted structure was or is even. And I think that's fun. We listened to Foo Fighters a lot. My husband and I, when we got married, and he's a big fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But what I noticed about the Foo Fighters, and what I understand came from Nirvana too, because the lead singer was in both bands, is that there's this play with loud and soft. And I picked up on that, and I thought it was really cool. Because in probably one of the most famous Nirvana song, but one of the most famous songs of the 90s, called Smells Like Teen Spirit, it starts very, I don't know all the words. Right? It's like pretty mellow. And then they get into the chorus, which is really loud. And with the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. And then it goes quiet again. So that's something I try to work into my music. Like, how do I keep it moving? What are the dynamics that I can add? And so that became an influence for me, as well as even bands like Linkin Park was that late 90s or early 2000s? Those were big influences for me. Just like musically, yes, but what parts of the songs have that like force, and what other parts of the songs that are more quiet? So those I felt were kind of my top influences that came to mind. There are thousands others, but we don't want to make an hour-long video here, do we? Maybe one day I will, but I don't have an hour now anyway. Soon getting back to the rink. Okay, songwriter-wise, Mariah Carey. So this is kind of more of the period of time where I was listening to the 90s kind of divas, is what they called them. Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey and Celine Dion, and those powerful vocalists that they didn't write all their songs, but Mariah Carey wrote her music, collaborating with others. And not only did I find it really great that she did write her own music and had a very positive message in most of her songs, especially her early stuff, in my opinion, I loved her use of vocabulary. And sometimes we like to keep things simple and like to keep things rhyming, but I thought it was really cool how she went out and would add just words that we don't use in everyday life. And it's beautiful because I love language, and I love words that have nuances that, yes, you could say big, or you could say gigantic, or enormous, or huge, right? And I like that she was choosing words that, like there's a song called Heartbreaker that she sings, and in this kind of R&B pop style, you wouldn't expect the word incessantly. Like you would expect on and on and on. You wouldn't expect incessantly. So she's like, heartbreaker, you got the best of me, but I just keep on coming back incessantly. And it rhymes, yeah, but I think it's really cool how she does that. So it gives me permission. Not it gives me permission, but I feel inspired that, okay, I see this being done too. It's a great idea. I'll do it too. So I don't shy away from using a little bit more complex vocabulary, if that makes sense. Diane Warren, who wrote some songs for Celine Dion, who's written for Aerosmith and a ton of really songwriting hits, has been an influence for me. And I studied the structure of her songs. And I love what she does that, and a lot of singers do this, songwriters do this. There's a part in the beginning that repeats, and then there's like the last word that repeats, or the last word that rhymes. And I think it just let me give you an example. So she wrote the song called Because You Loved Me. It was sung by Celine Dion. And it goes, you were my strength when I was weak. You were my voice when I couldn't speak. So the weak and the speak rhyme. But now you've got the you were my, right? And then she goes, you were my eyes when I couldn't see. Right? So it's like that repetition. And it just feels good for us. We love, as humans, we love being, what does Tony Robbins say? We love the familiar, but we also love variety, right? So it adds that familiarity and the repetition in the beginning, but then there's the variety at the end. But the variety at the end still feels familiar because it rhymes. Okay, those are the ones I wrote down that I wanted to share. There are countless others. Maybe I'll make a part 2 of this too as I think of more. When I write songs, like I said, the lyrics come first. So sometimes I have a feeling of what type of music I think would go with that lyric. And then I'll listen to other songs that have that similar type of style. There's a song I wrote, a children's song called On Island Santini. I made that up, but it was based off of the song Kokomo by the Beach Boys. Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama, come on pretty mama. So the Beach Boys kind of had that like island vibe, but I ended up taking part of the bass line of a song called Under the Boardwalk and then adjusting it a bit for myself, and that gave it to me that beachy vibe. And that song goes, on Island Santini. I imagine a hula person, or the wave. On Island Santini. So I kind of pick up influences everywhere. I'm just peeking the time. It's almost 13 minutes, so I will wrap here. And yeah, maybe do another part section about what my influences are. Maybe at the end of the day, I would say that I'm influenced by upbeat, great lyrics, but also stuff that keeps our interest in a song, that keeps moving, and trying different things and being super thoughtful about the harmonies. Maybe, okay, GrowtHARMONY is the company, right, that I put together, and the whole idea of doing self-development and growth, but also doing it in a way that's sustainable and thoughtful, and working in balance with different parts of our lives and with the environment. So it's kind of a play on words also, because harmony to me is one of the biggest parts of music, well, the lyrics and then the harmonies that come with those lyrics. So yeah, those were my influences, and it's getting warm in the car. Nice sunny day. But hope you're doing well. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again soon. Bye.